Hey everyone, my name is Lauren. I'm a psychic medium, and tonight I am taking you on a ghost tour here in downtown Denver. I am super excited to bring you guys along. I am here at Union Station and we are doing a ghost tour with Dark Side of Denver. Now they have allowed me to come join one of their group tours, and we're gonna go to a couple locations around here. I don't know anything about this tour. I haven't looked into it. You guys know that every single year I like to go into them blind. The goal is to tune in, see if I experience anything, bring you guys along, and have some fun.
Dark Side of Denver is a ghost tour, but it really is so much more. It is a paranormal historic walking tour. I wanted to go on a ghost tour, and I went on one, and it wasn't a very good one, and I started researching more, and I was like, wow, there's very few in Denver. And so I began working, putting a ghost tour together, and as soon as I launched the tour in 2017, it just took off, and it just grew from there and just became my full-time commitment, basically. It's great to be part of this community now.
I am here tonight with Rachel. She is the manager and tour guide for Dark Side of Denver.
I've been leading tours here for 3 years now. Yep, about 3 years, and interested in the paranormal for forever. We're going on a walking tour through a very historic area of Denver. We're gonna get to go inside a couple very old haunted buildings, very active with the paranormal, lots of stories. I'll be sharing my own personal experiences from the tour over the years, what people have encountered on the way too. Believers in the paranormal, it sounds like who believes in the paranormal, or maybe had your own experience? Believers over here, great, wonderful. Anybody on the fence? On the fence, not sure. Fair, thank you, great. To skeptics, I usually like to say, it's not my job tonight to convince anybody the supernatural is real. It's my job to convincingly tell you these stories and encounters people have really had, and I will leave it up to you what you want to believe there. But I'm very much in the believer category myself. My name is Rachel again. While we are not setting out to do an investigation right now, a full paranormal investigation, we are lucky we get to go into spaces in a couple buildings. So these spaces are known to be active with the paranormal, and we never know what we experience there. We have had guests capture images they can't quite explain, videos of strange things, other strange phenomena they can't quite explain along the way. I will be also introducing a couple tools along the way too, so that tools that we do use in our investigations, ongoing investigations that we do have in these places. Keep in mind, all the stories I tell you tonight came from real people who believe very passionately in what they saw. We've spent countless hours to validate the venues that you'll be hearing about in stories tonight. So the only thing I ask, otherwise, is you keep an open mind and have some fun. Sound like a plan? Good. Well, we're gonna get the tour started right here at Union Station. We're gonna head through the lobby. I'm gonna chat a bit on the back platform there before we head back inside to dive into some other mysteries here. But maybe that's just how Denver does it. But at one time, this was the busiest station in the West. It was so prevalent here that military men would pace around on the platforms where the trains meet, looking for a romantic encounter. But it does seem one man has not gotten that memo. Several late-night passengers here have reported a man wandering around wearing an old-timey military uniform. They say it's something at least 100 years old, something from back in the day. And they say this man is wandering around looking longingly in the face, like he is looking for his last kiss before he quietly disappears.
Those streets have had so many millions of lives walking across those streets, driving across those streets. There are so many things that linger in downtown Denver. The shadow people are probably the most prominent paranormal experience that happens down there. I was telling the tour group about shadow people. We were outside behind Union Station talking about shadow people because a lot of them are seen on the platform there where the trains meet. And this homeless gentleman came up to me and he was like, man, I don't want to interrupt, but I saw one of those things. Said he was walking at night and all of a sudden he noticed something in the corners, in the shadows. It seemed to be following him, and he said, but he could never make out a face. It just seemed like he kept seeing a shadow, and he thought, who's casting the shadow? Who is this that I keep seeing? And then he finally saw some red eyes connected with the shadow. And he said he took off and just started running. And he said the thing followed him no matter where he went, and he ended up running into a 7-Eleven. There was some shadow entity demon thing follow me in the streets of Denver. And I said, well, what happened? And he said, I ended up spending the night in jail because they thought I was crazy. That's the kind of things that happen in downtown Denver.
In 2014, there was a big expansion and remodel here. That's when the Crawford Hotel came in. They brought in all
The next
nice
part of our
shops.
tour, Rachel was telling us about how when they remodeled, a chair was left down in one of the open grates. And that chair has been seen moving a couple of inches every couple of years. And there's objects that will appear on the chair and disappear. So she had us check that out next.
Yeah. Everyone up, feel free to move the flashlight.
I can't really see it. Oh, now I see it. Yeah, you're probably not going to be able to pick it up on camera, but it's definitely down there. That's creepy.
Last year, I haven't seen the chair move so much this way. I've seen it move slightly on that side, still close to the wall there. But in the last 3 years, I've definitely seen it in different places, but we've noticed that like a lot of the activities that happen come in waves.
Interesting.
Different waves that'll... Over here on the second floor, on the level of the Cooper Lounge, peeking out right behind one of those columns, she saw a cowboy, which is something that is often reported in the Crawford areas, the Crawford rooms. They will see cowboys. Even sometimes some mob kind of figures will show up there too.
Let's go.
These tunnels also have a more depressing use. They would be used to transport deceased bodies, particularly soldiers at different times, cold storage, and a makeshift morgue. So the building across the street from that, the Ice House building, again, I'll point these out when we go back upstairs, but that was another one that would hold bodies. So they would take them from here over to there, and they would refreeze them for the next leg of the trip because they didn't have the technology to keep those bodies frozen for that entire trip. Sometimes, if those bodies are going further than, then it would stay frozen for. So maybe another reason apparitions have been seen around the tunnels, particularly around here. Anywhere you have tunnel entrances, you often have apparitions as well.
With this door, I'm getting like Harry Potter, like I want to open the door and go inside. I feel like there's something cool in there, not getting any negative energy. And then I wanted to say upstairs too with the chair, not saying that anybody else's experience is invalid. I kind of felt like people could have been moving that, and the first hit that I got was that the trains like rattling and possibly moving that chair because the trains are right outside that grate. So I feel like there's a plausible explanation to that chair. However, I have been thinking about the Oxford Hotel the whole night, and I've been wanting to ask her about it. I've been to the Oxford Hotel so many times. I'm so excited that we're going there. She said it's the last stop of the night.
We have incorporated a few, sometimes we'll bring a thermal image camera. Sometimes we'll bring a spirit box and, let people have, some sessions with those kind of things. And then we also use things that people don't really look at as paranormal investigative tools. Like the cat balls we bring out. Now these cat balls, if a cat touches it, it lights up.
I like to put two together because my theory there is if there's a vibration that's causing it to go off, it should cause both of them to go off would be my theory there. If I were to say, please stop lighting that one up and light up the other one, and if it does it, then that would be a really good indication. This is intelligent. It wants to respond to what I'm asking. And then maybe I sit there, this is interesting. Maybe I'll put another one there too, just in case, a little extra experiment. It seems like it set itself already, didn't it? It set itself and then started again. Okay. Another intelligent response, I've seen them use right in front of me as, this one is yes, this one is no. So please, and then we'll sit around and ask questions, and it will sometimes respond on, kind of on cue. So that's an intelligent response too that we've seen with these.
And we'll notice that they light up during specific things that we mentioned during our stories. For instance, in the basement of Union Station, usually when we tell the story of William Larimer, who is the founder of Denver, usually when we mention his name, the cat ball will light up. Yeah. Now, sometimes it won't, but a lot of times it does, and it's always specifically when his name is mentioned.
Things like construction. So if you have a...
Rachel didn't notice, but as she was explaining the next device to us, the cat balls behind her were going off, but we all told her when she stopped talking.
Wow. Oh, that was right on cue, wasn't that? Okay, cool. I have chills. That was like one of the most on cue Thank you. Oh, of course it stopped as soon as I started recording.
They can sit in somewhere for 15, 20 minutes and nothing happens, and all of a sudden they light up.
Yeah.
You know, what happened in that moment that made it light up? Was it there a random vibration that happened that, you know, we might not have felt? Or, like I said, when we mention these specific names and it lights up, is that a connection to something on the other side?
If you get a bump up, that could be an indication of a presence, is what the idea is there with the electromagnetic field. Interestingly enough, we have noticed the same trends with these so far in here. You may be familiar with a man by the name of William Larimer. There's Larimer Square here.
And so Rachel told us a long story about Larimer and who he was, and as she was doing this, the balls behind her kept lighting up. This was the first time I actually felt a spirit come into the room. I did see him earlier when we were walking in the main atrium.
Cowboys.
Was the Larimer guy?
Was
he a cowboy?
You know, he would have probably had the cowboy essence.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
I was actually just looking at pictures of him earlier today. That's funny.
Okay.
I think it would have probably fit the bill. Yeah.
Okay. So I was telling her in the other room as she was talking, I was feeling like there was a man. She had mentioned earlier in the night a cowboy, so I was hearing cowboy, and I was seeing like a man. And she was talking about the Larimer guy. I don't know if it was the same guy, but I felt like it was. And I felt like he was coming in and messing with the little cat balls, and I felt like he was like touching those. I felt like he really liked her because I feel like there's a familiarity with like him and her. And I felt like he just was like coming in and bothering her, letting her know that he was there. And just like saying hi, and he kind of like went to the back of the room and then just kind of disappeared. So I was letting her know after the fact, and she got really excited.
Places like this are studying these entities fully. They're having whole groups witness them. They're having video evidence, photo evidence, and they still don't know what they are. They only have theories. So I'll throw a few theories out there for you to get the wheels turning. So a popular theory is that
Then she took us to the old tattered cover building, which is downtown. If you know it, it used to be a really cool bookstore, but now it's sitting completely empty. And she told us about some of the experiences that they used to have there back when it used to be open.
back and forth, stop.
While she was talking, I just felt like somebody ran. It was like a white guy, very scary, like ran from the inside and like slammed up against the glass and was like, "Rawr," like all scary, trying to scare us psychically, clairvoyantly. This experience helped me understand the difference between a ghost tour and a paranormal investigation. A ghost tour is much more about storytelling and history, which explains why we were kind of like watching and listening so much on this tour.
But it does have an original tunnel entrance in the basement here. And this hatch would lead down there to the basement where they do have that tunnel entrance.
I realized I personally prefer to have some more quiet time to like actually tune in to see if I'm picking up on anything. So it made me really excited to eventually try an actual paranormal investigation. It was also really cool because we toured a building that my dad used to work at and I used to work at, the Sugar Building.
These are real people that we talk about, and there's still families in the area, and so we try to be respectful of that.
The Chinese men had fired their guns in the air to narrowly make their escape, but a rumor swept rapidly through the city by the cowboys saying these Chinese men killed a cowboy. So this rumor swept rapidly, and reportedly by 2 p.m. a mob of over 3,000 people were gathered angry in the streets.
So apparently there was like a Chinatown riot here. There was like a man brutally like beaten to death and like dragged through the streets. And like she's told a lot of stories tonight, but that one I felt really in particular, and I was like seeing it, feeling it, and I was having a really hard time like not tuning into that moment and like picking up his energy, and like just reliving that experience and just clairsentiently feeling all of that. That one I had to like really put up those boundaries and like not feel into that. So I just thought I'd mention it. Not really picking up on him now, but just more that past experience.
Do you want to tune into him now and see what you get?
No, I want to not lose them because now we're going to the Oxford, and I've been to the Oxford so many times and I'm so excited about this. We have filmed a short film at the Oxford as students. I've also shot senior photos for my cousin at the Oxford. And then more recently, I met up for an event and did readings at the Oxford. Thanks.
There's an antique mirror over here. This is a mercury-made black-backed mirror. They used to always use mercury to make mirrors. They no longer do because that's an expensive process. It was called the Oxford Lounge. After Prohibition, it's been called the Cruise Room. And fun fact about the Cruise Room, it's
she was talking about a guy that got smashed by the elevator, but before she was telling that story, I was getting so dizzy and so lightheaded, and I was like rocking back and forth in place here. That one I was feeling pretty significantly. And then I saw like some sort of like griffin thing come just like crashing down up above the people that were standing over here. I don't know, unrelated. I think I'm not able to tune in very well because I'm paying attention to the tour. So next we went up into another room in the Oxford, and I wanted to point out something cool that's going on with my camera here. So you can see these bands, right? It's my husband adjusting the shutter speed on the camera. Basically, the lights that are inside this building are so old and they're flickering at a high speed that we can't really see, but the camera can pick up, and that's how it creates this effect. But this is another one of those things that people think is paranormal, but it's actually just camera.
Because it believes spirits can manipulate this energy to have their voices actually heard. I'll turn it off, but they use this because you can tell distinguishable voices. You can tell this is a young voice, old voice, man, woman, they're happy, they're sad, they're laughing, they're crying. So this group in the Stanley...
I definitely felt something in that last ballroom, kind of towards like the back doorway. I felt like I wanted to just go back in there and explore more, but obviously we can't. We're restricted to like the tour space.
There are numerous styles of ghost tours. And what I love about a ghost tour is it is a traditional, old school type of entertainment. It is storytelling at its core.
Doing the tours, we just find that there is so much interest in just spending more time, and when things happen on the tour, it's so hard to move on to the next destination, you know, after that. There's a seance experience in the works, and talking about the history and controversies of seances with a little bit of a traditional experience along with that. Cool. And we're also working on an investigation experience where people who want to investigate and spend more time seeing if they can, you know, contact the spirits who are in these buildings can do that.
The most fun part about that was using all of the tools. I have never messed around with all of the paranormal investigation like sensors before, and so to use a combination of my mediumship with those tools was really fun to play around with. So in some places I definitely felt spirit, in other places I didn't, but I feel like that's normal. In some areas I feel like, you know, other people probably tuned into things that I just wasn't. Maybe it was because spirit just wasn't around. Maybe it was just I wasn't tuning into it because I was anxious or too distracted by the stories. But I definitely picked up a lot of things in a lot of different places. There was a lot of opportunities for me to do that. So if you're ever in Denver and you want to do a ghost tour, definitely check out Dark Side of Denver, support your local business, and check out some of their other experiences. I think they're going to have a lot of fun ones coming up here in the future. Thank you so much to their team for letting me film. Like this video if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions below, and I will see you in the next one.
The Wild West, the feeling of the Wild West still exists in downtown Denver. It's crazy to say, but it's still there. So if you ever want to join us, darksideofdenver.com.